think being a fan first is probably the best way. It's the best teaching, you know, because you know what you like, you know what you want to listen to, you know what you want to hear. And then you kind of start to understand who sounds good over what type of beats work with certain artists, what type of collaborations, what makes sense. So, but being a fan, you know, just being a fan of it, really ingested it, really engulfing myself in it, I think has been mostly beneficial for me because I was listening to hip hop from the East Coast. I was listening to West Coast music. I got into it. Then I started getting to the South, you know. Then I spent time in the DMV and started learning about go-go. And so it's just like my love of music as a whole has been just the catalyst for everything else, you know, and understanding that, yeah, I just understand what sounds good to me, you know, and I feel like there's people out there who probably feel the same way. I think that storytelling is one of those like kind of cheat codes, right? Because if you tell a story and that story lives on through the music, no matter what times change or, you know, how many years go by, a good story is still a good story. You know, people still making the same movies over, you know, shows are getting reboots, right? A good story is a good story. And some of my favorite records, I realized, were storytelling joints. Obviously, Slick Rick, right? One of the greatest to ever do it. But also, you know, like Rakim, also like Kane, you know, guys who were able to tell really slick stories, or Large Professor. And, you know, I can go on and on and on. I realized in my catalog, as I was listening to it, that I didn't have a lot of storytelling. I was like, yo, I'm such a fan of storytelling. How come I don't do it more? And so I made a conscious effort to start doing some storytelling and my own writing, you know, just again, to kind of stretch my creativity, flex that muscle, and be able to put something out that, you know, braggadocious rap is great, but be able to tell a good story that's like, you know, I call it cinematic dramatic, right? You write it, people see it, it's visual, it's clear as day. I think that's super important, and those records really like stand the test of time because, again, a good story is a good story. My kids is reading the same books in school that I read. I'm from the ilk of writing before you get to the studio. You know, that's the way I came up. That's the way my OGs told me. They said, listen, you don't want to be in the studio sitting there wasting time, wasting hours. Time is money. So have your rhymes ready so when you get to the studio, you know, you can get in the booth and get to it. But when Skyzoo and I were working on Barrel Brothers, because we wanted to write everything together, we wrote in the studio. You know, we went to the studio 5-6 days a week, and we listened to music together. And, you know, we hung out, we got food, we scrolled the gram, we chopped it up with Focus, who was the engineer for the project, and we wrote everything in the studio. And for me, it was a different approach. You know, I won't necessarily say it was a challenge, but it was a different approach because it was taking me out of my comfort zone. And what I like to do when I work on a verse, you know, I'm gonna write it, I'm gonna listen to it, and then I'm gonna tweak that line. And then I'm gonna say, oh, this makes more sense if I say this. Or I'm gonna take a minute to research something and say, okay, well, I'm gonna fact check this before I say this. So when you're writing on the spot, you know, it kind of takes away some of those things, some of your superpowers, and, you know, you just gotta come with it, you know? And so for me, that was a challenge, if you will, just to be able to create right there on the spot. But I think, you know, still sharp and still, like you said, and we brought the best out of each other. It's one of those projects that people ask us about each and every day, if it's going to be a sequel and what was the process like. And, you know, I think that because we both went super hard and we both knew that it was a great MC going in the booth before or after us, it really brought the best out of each of us. And so, you know, I think that was one of those times in the studio where I was able to just step out of that box of comfortability and do something different, and the product was amazing.